Alright, film buffs, you see the title, you know what's up, you know what it's time for. This is Straight Shooter, and welcome to another episode of How I See It. So this movie has been greatly anticipated for, 11 years since Iron Man came out. So here we are at the Endgame. That's right, Avengers, their fourth movie, and they are wrapping up the current film phase saga with Avengers Endgame. So, first of all, I'm at Team Sound Studios. Second of all, this will have spoilers. So if you haven't seen Endgame, you do not want to watch this review. You want to avoid spoilers as much as you can. But if you've seen it, here maybe you'll agree with some things that I've said. Maybe you won't, but let's discuss it. Avengers Endgame. Wow, where to begin? There's so much to talk about. I'll try to not go overly long, but I have to go a little long because it's a 3-hour damn movie. Which is unusual for a superhero movie, but I think it was needed for this movie because they're wrapping up so many things. I mean, they're basically going back from Iron Man, wrapping up everything that was built up to Infinity War and through the end of Infinity War. I mean, Infinity War left us on a huge cliffhanger. So, movie starts off with all of the characters trying to figure out what they're going to do. And Tony Stark gets rescued from the ship, and Captain Marvel finds him, which is a really cool little twist. And he comes back to Earth, and everyone's together. You have Hulk, Black Widow, you have Captain Marvel, you have War Machine. Pretty much everyone that wasn't dusted at the end of Infinity War is together trying to figure out what to do. They end up saying, you know what, let's go find Thanos and kill him. And they do. And it's so shocking to see it happen so early in the movie, but they track Thanos to another planet that he's on, and Thanos is basically, he's a lot weaker than he was in Infinity War. The Infinity Gauntlet cost him a lot of his body, and they pretty much take him down pretty easily. But what happens is, 5 years later, Ant-Man comes out of the quantum realm, and he meets up with them, and he comes up with this theory like, okay, I was in the quantum realm, and time works differently in there. We can use the quantum realm to go back in time and change what Thanos did. And what they end up coming up with is removing the Infinity Stones from the equation. And it's pretty interesting how they do it, because they go back to a lot of different movies. They go back to the first Avengers movie where the Scepter has the Mind Stone and the Tesseract has the Space Stone. They end up interacting with those other timelines. Thor goes back to Asgard with Rocket. They extract the ether from Jane Foster. And Hulk, who, by the way, is really awesome because he finds a way to be Hulk but keep Bruce Banner's mannerisms. He's basically Bruce Banner as Hulk. He's not ape-like anymore. He's more human as Hulk. And he talks clearly, and he has Bruce Banner's voice. He finds the Ancient One before Doctor Strange ever becomes the Wizard. Gets the Time Stone from her. Hawkeye and Black Widow go to that planet where Thanos finds the Soul Stone. And once they find out that they have to make the sacrifice to get the Soul Stone, they fight over who's going to sacrifice themselves, and it ended up being Black Widow. So Black Widow is actually killed in this movie, which was pretty shocking to see. but they get the Soul Stone that way. They steal the Power Stone from the planet that Quill was on. They all get the Infinity Stones. But then Thanos finds out the current nebula is connected to the nebula from the future. And he finds out about all their plans, and he finds a way to go to the time where they are and fight them. And it leads to this big epic battle between Thanos and his forces and all the Avengers. And because what happens is, this is pretty cool, and I thought this might be what happened, because at the end of Infinity War, Doctor Strange says this is the only way we win, and there was a connection between Tony Stark and Thanos. Something about the way Infinity War ended up made me say, you know what? I bet Tony Stark is the one that wields the Infinity Gauntlet to defeat Thanos. And that's what happens. But it wasn't like I said, oh wow, that's what I thought would happen. Oh great, whatever. But it was very satisfying. Because after this whole big battle, which is, by the way, so epic and so satisfying to see, because so many characters using their powers to the maximum and basically destroying Thanos' forces. But what ends up happening is they fuse the Infinity Stones to a glove that Iron Man makes. They do a sleight of hand where Thanos gets back the Infinity Gauntlet and he thinks, oh, I have the Infinity Stones now. But they were actually transferred onto the glove for Iron Man. So he puts it on and he snaps his fingers, and what ends up happening is he destroys Thanos and his forces. You see them all turn to dust, and the last of them is Thanos, like he's destroyed. So they win. I can't stress how much I enjoyed this movie. It was not just epic, it was so satisfying, it was so emotional. There were so many scenes that tug at your heartstrings. It was amazing how it came together, how so many relationships and so many other movies led up to this. Tony Stark, by using the Infinity Stones, it ends up killing him. Which is probably the most emotional part of the movie. At the end of the movie is his funeral. And yeah, so you have no more Iron Man, no more Black Widow, and also what ends up happening is Captain America goes back to the time before, I guess, he hit the ice, and he's old in the present, and he's not Captain America anymore, and he passes the torch onto Falcon. I guess Falcon's going to be the new Captain America. So Chris Evans is no longer going to be Captain America. Tony Stark is not going to be Iron Man. Scarlett Johansson is not going to be Black Widow. But everyone else is restored because they took the Infinity Stones away from the timelines where they were found originally, which reverses what Thanos did, because Thanos never got the Infinity Stones in the first place again. And the reason why Captain America went back into the past was to put the Infinity Stones back, but now that Thanos is gone, that he's not a threat anymore. And so many other people show up in the movie that were really important before, like Nick Fury, but he doesn't have any lines. Spider-Man comes back, which is really cool. Doctor Strange comes back. Scarlet Witch comes back, which all made the ending battle so awesome. I mean, I can't gush enough about this movie. It was so great. A+. If there was a higher score than A+, that's what it would be. But A+ for me. Rushing out day one to get this when it comes out on disc. And I'm definitely going to be seeing it again in the theaters. There's so much more I could say, but I don't want to be too overly long-winded. I don't think there was anything I didn't really like about the movie. Because even though there were some parts in the movie that that maybe some people said, okay, it's slow or whatever, you have to build to what's going to happen at the end. And you have to really portray how somber and how desperate the Avengers are after what Thanos does. Because it really is a desperate situation, and the plan that they have is a long shot, but they end up pulling it off. And everything that happens was really great to see. If there was any complaints about the movie, I would say maybe some of the characters that came back could have had more screen time, could have had more dialogue, but after the end of the movie, you didn't want it to be another Return of the King, where every character has their interaction and every character does this and does that, because it would have ended up being a 4-hour movie. And I think a 3-hour movie is just right for this movie, but it's not a complaint, because I didn't really feel like anything was missing. I just thought that for the story that they're telling, they did everything right. It ended up wrapping up very satisfyingly, and it sets up how the Avengers are going to continue without the people that are gone now. But in any event, great movie, awesome movie. Do I recommend you see it? No. I demand you see it. That's how awesome it is. So for now, that's all. That's how I see it. I will see you on the flip side, guys.